Okay, hello, beautiful women. Welcome back to the Radiant Woman podcast. Oh my goodness, it has been a wild couple of months. We are currently at the end of September 2024. We've just been through eclipse season. I don't even think we're at the end of that yet. There's been so much happening, and we've really been in a time of like, this is for me and everyone I've been speaking to, my clients, my friends, where it's literally like whole foundations, that the old foundations that have been supporting our lives up until recently have been crumbling, like literally crumbling. And what has come out of that is the new foundations. It's almost like the flowers have been emerging from the earth again, and we've been creating the new seeds of the new foundation that is going to hold our next phase of life and evolution and business. So I just wanted to share a bit of a life update really, and what's been happening in my world the last couple of months. It's been pretty wild, and I'm going to be real and raw because I think this is important to just have these conversations. So I know that for myself, July was actually like most of this year and up until the end of July was like just has been huge momentum and expansion for me personally and in business, like 30 to 50K months with ease, grace, and flow, just like fully things just blowing up for me in my business. And so July was a 50K month, and at the end of July, my best friend and I, we flew to Fiji and attended a business retreat with our business coach. And at that retreat, I was like, okay, I am claiming, because we're going through our goals and everything, I am claiming my next level as $80,000 plus months, right? $1 million a year. And we were there for a few days, and, it was epic, and I was celebrating this, 50K month, and we flew back business class, and it was amazing. And then I got home, and oh my God, I felt like I came back into a bit of a shitstorm. So many things happened. My 2IC, who had been with me for almost 2 years, literally from the start, like from the birth of Radiant Woman Coaching, she finished up. So at the end of July. And then I had someone else come in, and they were kind of filling in for about 4 weeks. But I realized quickly, it wasn't the right fit. And so then I brought on, at the start of this month, start of September, I brought on an online business manager. And so I've literally had, and like now we're bringing on a new VA, and I've brought on a sales support coach. So I've literally had a whole, unraveling of what my old foundation of my business has been in terms of teams and structure, which is huge, right? Because our team and systems and business is what really holds us. And if you know me, I'm all about, being in my joy and being in my flow. And so I really operate at my best when I feel really held and supported by my team and my systems and structures. But I've been through this kind of like, super wonky, like uncertain, like what the fuck is going on phase the past couple months, because there's been so much shifting and changing, in that team and structure. But when I look back on it now, I can see very clearly that needed to happen because that old team and structure could not support and hold my next level. And I think this is important to talk about because, the last couple months have been pretty fucking stressful at times. They've been intense. It's been wild. And it's been a lot to navigate. But this is the thing, right, is that when we really claim our next level, there's going to be certain things that need to change and shift. It's like an important question to ask yourself right now. if you're in a place of up-leveling, is what do I need to let go of in order to reach my next level? Who do I need to become? How do I need to start perceiving myself? How do I need to start treating my money, thinking about money? What shifts do I need to make in my health? What shifts do I need to make in my relationships? Like for me, the last 2 months, literally, I feel like everything has shifted in my life. And it's been wild. And the thing that's really been most intense, and this is the second piece I want to share, is through that whole experience, because I was having a lot of fear come up, right? There was so much uncertainty because of the transitions happening. There was like this transition from the old 2IC to having the fill-in to having the new OBM. And so what was happening was the day-to-day operations of my business were, for a few weeks, they were not running smoothly as they had been before because, new team needed to learn the ropes. And so there was so much happening where like clients were messaging me like the Zoom link, I haven't received the Zoom link for this. And then like the replay hasn't been uploaded for that. And right, all things that usually I never even have to think about because my team just does it all for me. And I was like, holy shit. And right, we dropped this into the mix of like, I'm also coaching and facilitating and I'm a mom and I'm a wife and all the things. And it was a lot. And the biggest thing though was through that experience, I had so much fear coming up in that uncertainty. So much fear. And this is just another powerful example of how our business is such a reflection. Like I always say, business is the ultimate spiritual journey, aside from motherhood and maybe, being married. Because it is such a mirror of anything that is unresolved within us. Because through all of that uncertainty, the fear that was coming up was I was feeling unsupported. I was feeling like I'm in uncharted territory here. I don't really know what's going on. I'm confused. I don't have clarity on like, there's all these moving parts. And everything that I was feeling, I realized, oh, that's how I felt when I was a little girl. That's how I felt, especially between the ages of, 1 to 5, where at that time of my life, there was so much instability. Like my parents divorced when I was 1 and my mom had like different partners and, she would like leave it randomly and for a few days sometimes and then come back. And it was just like, it was just so much uncertainty. I didn't have that like stability in that route. And I felt like I didn't feel safe. I didn't really know what was going on when. And literally that whole situation that was happening in my business the last couple of months brought all of that up. And it's so interesting because in the few months prior to that, I was like feeling on top of the world. I felt amazing. I was in so much trust and surrender and all the things. And then all of that was happening. And I was like, why am I feeling so much fear? And this is what's interesting is what I've learned over my journey is that we literally have, right? Because from these past situations we've been through in our life, difficult events, challenges, we have emotions that are created in response to that situation. And if we don't feel it or process it at the time, it gets stuck in the body. And from those experiences I had as a little girl, I was holding so much fear in my body. And then what was happening in my business was triggering that fear. And what's literally happened in the last couple of months is like I've released so much fear from my body on a cellular level. And just yesterday, I felt this huge shift where I was like, oh my God, I feel so calm and relaxed. things still aren't like perfect and everything in the team and structure of my business, and yet that trigger isn't there anymore. I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling okay. And so yeah, like this is the thing in business, is like, and life too, right? Life is always trying to help us get free. And it does that by showing us where we're not free. And this is why the more that I am actively doing my inner work, my healing work, which I've been doing for the last 9 years now, or really since I was 19, the easier life gets. Because it's like, if we have these wounds within us, then life is going to create situations that is literally like prodding those wounds so that we look at it, so that we can be free of it. And so it can be so easy, right, to just like be complacent and like avoid and suppress and numb. But what usually will happen is that when we avoid these things, life and business is going to present us with shitty situations that is going to force us to look at these things. I know another great example of this, probably the biggest example of this for me was, after I had my son, where, we were doing so well in our business. And it's actually interesting. I saw a really great quote the other day. And the quote said, if you don't face, or if you don't deal with your unresolved trauma, your bank account will. And I want to add to that and say, if you don't face your unresolved trauma, if you don't address it, your bank account will, your relationships will, your business will, your health will. There'll be something that keeps coming up until you actually just look at it. So guys, the easy option is just fucking get an amazing coach like me. Hello. And just start actively looking at what is there, what is it within me that I get to actually let go of now. So something I've been talking about a lot recently, especially in a training I recently ran, in retreats I've been speaking at, is success is like a tree. So the higher that we want to go in our success, the more we do that again. Okay, might be funny to put some of these bloopers in. Blooper reel. Okay. So something I've been speaking about a lot recently is that success is like a tree, right? The higher we want to go, the more we need to deepen our roots. And it's so funny because we're always going to get the taste of our own medicine, right? And literally over these past couple months, with everything I've been sharing, that's what's been happening for me. The biggest thing is, if we look at business, how it's 20% strategy, we need the systems and structures. And then it's 80% the internal game. And so as we are growing in business, of course, we need to look at both things. So for example, right now, what we've been doing, what my manager's been doing, is setting up all of these SOPs. I'm like, I didn't even know what an SOP was until a couple of months ago. It's a standing operating procedure. So I still don't even know what it is probably. There's systems, right? I'm like, I feel like a real adult now. I'm really adulting because I have SOPs in my business. But we've been creating all of these systems and structures. And I say we, I should say she. That's her genius zone. Because honestly, getting to 50K months versus getting to 80 to 100K months is definitely a whole other game. And so for example, like at one point this year, I had about 30 women at one time in the Feminine Force, my 12-week program. And And then everyone was like, because it's evergreen and people come in at different times, right? So then I started realizing, like, I just kind of, the way that I do business is I just like, I dive in the deep end and then I just see what happens, right? I'm just like, okay. And what I started realizing just through winging it was there were all these, every week there were people finishing up their 12 weeks. And then I was like, oh crap, what am I doing with these people? Like, there's no system here. And I was having to go onto the Facebook manually and like remove people and like message them and say, hey, are you wanting to continue or do this? I was like, okay. So there's really been looking at creating systems because, okay, that way of doing it was not sustainable. And especially if I'm wanting to have, more than 30 women at a time in there, which I do because I'm here for big impact, right? So there's been addressing the systems and structures that are going to hold me, because what's not sustainable is having to be on all the time, right? So we've got to create those systems and structures and support that will hold us to be in our feminine flow and inspiration, because that's the way that I operate best. So there's been all of that. And then the inner game, the internal part for me has really been letting go of a lot. It's been forgiving myself. It's been letting go of so much fear, letting go of control, letting go of this like, oh, I've got to make sure like everyone and everything's okay, and I've got to, being in that like control energy, because if I'm not controlling all the time, then things will fall apart, right? That, by the way, comes from stuff in our past, unresolved traumas. Really having to let go of that. And even moving through some really deep stuff around actually forgiving my father, forgiving my mother, forgiving myself. I heard a quote in a song and it said, when I forgive all, I forgive me. And this is the thing, right? Is that if we're wanting to open up to receive more, then if you look at where you are right now, you've gotten as far as you can go with the current capacity that you have. And so if we want to open up to receive more, we've got to look internally and go, what do I need to let go of so that I actually have the space to receive more, to receive what I now am calling in? So for me, there's been a lot of grieving, a lot of, just letting go of so much that I had been carrying, because I couldn't go past that point I was at by holding that still. And that was me drinking my own medicine these past couple of months of like, that was me deepening my roots. To tie this up, and that's been me deepening my roots these past couple of months to prepare for my rising and my growing bigger, is been just coming into a deeper level of peace within myself, and the wounding around my father. That's been the biggest healing journey of my life, because he abused me when I was a little girl. That's been such a big wound of mine. And these last couple of months has really just been coming back into just letting all of that go, because I've journeyed over the last few years through so much, through the rage, through hatred, through grief, through all of it. And lately I've really just decided, I just want to let go of all of that. I'm done with all of that. I actually just want to come back to love. And if I can have come to a place of neutrality and even love for someone who hurt me that much, that is so powerful. And my ultimate goal in life is just to be the embodiment of love and experience as much joy and love as I possibly can. I see it as joy and love is like always my North Star. It's my master goal. And then all the other goals, they're just like, they're fun. And I get to play in that realm of like testing my edges and meeting my edges. But that is always the ultimate goal for me, is how much joy and love can I experience and presence can I experience in my life. So that's me for today. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Would love to hear any takeaways or insights you had, questions from today. And I will see you on the next episode.